It's not just a war of attrition as experienced by millions of desperate Ukrainians on the ground, it's also a fight to dominate the narrative, with Russian claims that the Pentagon is financing biological weapons labs in Ukraine.
We convened the meeting today because, as Russia is conducting a special military operation in Ukraine, we discovered a truly shocking fact of emergency cleanup by the Kiev regime of the traces of a military biological program which is being implemented by Kiev with support by the United States Ministry of Defense. Our Ministry of Defense, Russian Ministry of Defense, now has documents which confirms that on the territory of Ukraine there was a network consisting of at least 30 biological laboratories in which very dangerous biological experiments are being conducted, aimed at strengthening the pathogenic qualities of the plague, anthrax, tularemia, cholera, and other lethal diseases using synthetic biology.
The allegations were roundly dismissed by several states led by the United States.
I will say this once. Ukraine does not have a biological weapons program. There are no Ukrainian biological weapons laboratories supported by the United States, not near Russia's border or anywhere. So here are the facts. Ukraine owns and operates its own public health laboratory infrastructure. These facilities make it possible to detect and diagnose diseases like COVID-19, which benefit us all. The United States has assisted Ukraine to do this safely and securely. This is work that has been done proudly, clearly, and out in the open. This work has everything to do with protecting the health of people. It has absolutely nothing to do with biological weapons. In fact, it is Russia that has long maintained a biological weapon program in violation of international law.
Several Western nations accused Russia of the well-documented use of chemical weapons against political opponents, including the alleged use of nerve agents against opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who remains incarcerated in Russia, while the UN raised concern about nuclear facilities in Ukraine that have become a flashpoint in the conflict.
I would like to take this opportunity to address the worrying issue of the safety and security of nuclear power plants in Ukraine. An accident involving nuclear facilities in Ukraine could have severe consequences for public health and environment, and all steps must be taken to avoid it. The possibility of an accident caused by failure to a reactor's power supply or the inability to provide regular maintenance is growing by the day.
The UN has also called the targeting of civilians and residential neighborhoods, including hospitals and schools in Ukraine, inexcusable and intolerable, with credible reports that Russia is using cluster munitions, which are prohibited under international law.
The need for negotiations to stop the war in Ukraine could not be more urgent. We note the 3 rounds of talks held thus far between Ukrainian and Russian delegations. We call for such efforts to intensify, including to further secure humanitarian and ceasefire arrangements as a matter of priority. We urge the sides to build on their contacts, such as the meeting yesterday between the foreign ministers of Ukraine and the Russian Federation in Antalya, Turkey. The logic of dialogue and diplomacy must prevail over the logic of war.
She also warned that as the war grinds on, the violence posed growing risks to the global framework for peace and security. Sherman Bryceby's SABC News, New York.